Hello everyone and welcome back to APM Revision Revolution. Yesterday the ACCA site was down, therefore I couldn't show you how to study using the ACCA Study Hub, but I also told you to refer to my video of APM English for the same. मैंने आपको बोला था, okay? तो अभी हम वी गोइंग टू प्रोसीड टू सेक्शन बी. हम लोग प्रोसीड करने वाले हैं सेक्शन बी की तरफ से, जो होते हैं 25 मार्क्स के क्वेश्चंस. हालांकि लास्ट ईयर से नाउ इट इज़ बीन 20 मार्क्स एंड 5 मार्क्स फॉर प्रोफेशनल. दिस इज़ द क्वेश्चन 1 दैट वी आर हैविंग. प्लीज़ गो थ्रू द क्वेश्चन. दिस इज़ द रिक्वायरमेंट and 5 marks are professional, and this is the appendix. So I'll just give you time to go through the question. And we are going to start with the question shortly. Now this question is regarding pyramid, जो हमने कल ही पढ़ा था, तो वो उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए we have to answer this particular question. So let's begin with that. Whenever you read a question, कभी भी क्वेश्चन पढ़ते हो पहले रिक्वायरमेंट पढ़ो. पहले रिक्वायरमेंट पढ़ोगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि क्वेश्चन आपको बोलना क्या चाहता है. So it is now 1 September 20x5. Respond to the CEO of Harry's request for work on the following area, the use of the performance pyramid. Note there are 13 marks available for the first part of work. So this is the first part of work. And 7 marks available for the second part of work required on this area. And this is the appendix that they have given us regarding all the necessary information. Okay, so let's read. Exhibit 1, company information. Harry Keyboards. Harry is a family owned business which manufactures computer keyboards. It has contracts to supply 3 large desktop computer manufacturers. Harry won its contract to supply these manufacturers under severe price competition, as the manufacturers themselves have seen the price of the whole package fall in the past 10 years. The contracts are for 5 years and have at least 3 years left to run. At the end of the contracts, the desktop manufacturers will render for suppliers, and Harry expects to be in a strong position as the existing supplier to win more work. The Chief Executive Officer, CEO and leader of the Harry family is Graham Hurray. He and the board believe that the success of business has been built on an emphasis on strategic focus. He recently declared in the board meeting, cost leadership wins business in our niche market, and we should not overstretch ourselves into non-core activities. We make cheap keyboards, that is, we need to focus on what is our expertise and not overstretch ourselves in non-core activities. Exhibit 2, performance pyramid. The CEO has indicated that he wants to use the performance pyramid to analyze the performance indicators used at Harry. He has asked you, as the company's performance management expert, to undertake 2 pieces of work on this area. First, the CEO would like you to complete the analysis provided in Appendix 1. Appendix 1 contains the work done so far by a junior accountant on the pyramid's heading and their associated indicators for Harry, with additional notes and information about Harry's performance. He would then like you to evaluate only the operational performance indicators at Harry. Second, there are a number of non-financial indicators used in the performance pyramid, and the CEO would like some advice on the reliability of these indicators compared to the financial ones, which are usually presented in the board reports. You would like this part of the work to focus on methods of measuring such indicators, including the information sources and the methods of processing and checking, which is normally undertaken. He has told you to use operational indicators from the first part of work to illustrate your advice. Respond to CEO of Harry's request for work on the following area, that is the use of performance pyramid. So this is the appendix that they are telling us to view. This is Harry's performance indicator information for the year ended 30th June 20x5. Pyramid heading, whenever there's a pyramid, at the top is the vision, then is the financial and the market conditions, then is the customer satisfaction, flexibility and productivity at the third tier, and the fourth tier is waste, quality, delivery and cycle time. The indicators are given, the values are given. Vision does not have an indicator. There are separate projects being carried out within the finance department to deal with this. The absolute profit figure is used. Market share is measured by an external marketing expert. Customer complaints are measured by customer returns. Many orders require customization of the production process. Customers see timely delivery as critical. There are a number of other margins available for use in measuring productivity in specific areas of operations, but operating margin is used as the summary indicator of the productivity. There are 16 manufacturing production lines in the factory. These lines are active for 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, 52 weeks a year. A keyboard is produced from the production line every 2.2 minutes. Including setup time while the machines are operating. Last year, the factory produced 1.05 million keyboards. The number of keyboards rejected by quality inspectors in the factory was 15,750 in the year. Out of these, 9,450 were able to be reworked at an average cost of $2, and the rest were scrapped. The standard cost of a keyboard is $8. Harry uses an external logistic firm, Achel, to handle all deliveries. Harry calls Achel to collect an order, and Achel's lorry fleet picks up orders from Harry's factory and delivers to the customer. So basically, they have outsourced their delivery part to Achel. There are service level agreements governing how long Achel has to deliver the goods to Harry's customers. Achel supplies Harry with data from its own system on the number of packages delivered and how many were late. Below is the report for last year. Deliveries made in total is 5127. Deliveries made within agreed time after Harry's order received is 4717. And total time taken for the entire delivery is 17423. So 17423 divided by 5127 will give you how much time it takes to deliver per product. So that is 3.39, that is 3.4. Working capital cycle is calculated as inventory days plus trade receivables minus trade payables. So 22 plus 42 minus 27 will give you 37. Now what they have said is respond to the CEO's request for work in the following area, the use of performance pyramid. 13 marks available for the first part of the work required on this area. So CEO wants to use performance pyramid to analyze the performance indicators used at Harry. He has asked you as a company's performance management expert to undertake 2 pieces of work in this area. What is the first piece and then the second piece? So first is your and second is here. So I'm just highlighting so you would know. So what is the first requirement? That is the first piece of work. First, the CEO would like you to complete the analysis provided in Appendix 1. Appendix 1 contains the work done so far by the junior accountant on the pyramid headings and their associated indicators for Harry, with additional notes and information about Harry's performance. He would then like you to evaluate only the operational performance indicators at Harry. What you have to do? This is the requirement A. So see, in this question they have confused you so much regarding requirement A also. What you have to do? You have to evaluate the operational performance indicators at Harry. See, first part of the work. They're not clearly telling you also what the question is requiring. So sometimes the question can be confusing like this, wherein the requirement is also not clear. See, there are 13 marks available for the first part of the work required on this area, but which part? They've not even said. Respond to the CEO's request. Required in the, but what is required? So first the CEO has told you to evaluate only the operational performance indicators. Now which are the operational performance indicators? The last four, that is waste, quality, delivery and cycle. So we have to evaluate that and give details about that. So from this, whatever is there in the notes, you have to pick data from that and evaluate it. So you will start the answer like, this is the first one. This is the first question, and from this first question, the A part is what we are answering now, and in the A part you will answer there are 4 operational headings in the pyramid which shall be considered in turn. And what are those? Waste, quality, delivery and cycle time. So first let's write about waste. What we can write about waste? Waste is about, what is waste? The lesser the waste, that means you're using the most use of resources, optimal use of resources. So waste is about optimal use of resources and minimization of non-value adding activity. There are how many keyboards produced? .05 million keyboards produced. So there are 1.05 million keyboards produced. And how much is the total that they can actually produce? Nine hours a day, 6 days a week into 52 weeks. So how much time is available? 9 hours a day, 9 into 6 days a week into 52 weeks a year. That is 2695680 minutes of production line time are available at 2.2 minutes per keyboard, meaning 2695680 divided by 2.2 minutes is the setup time. That gives you 1225309. Okay, this is the full capacity. Out of this you're doing 1.05. 1.05 divided by 1.22 will give you how much? You're operating approximately at 86% of your capacity. So you're only utilizing your resources up to 86%. Actually your capacity is much more than that. So let's discuss your full capacity first. But this only represents 86% utilization of the capacity of the factory. What is the total capacity of the factory? The capacity of factory is when you multiply all of this, you get 2695680 minutes. Minutes of production line time are available to 2 minutes per keyboard, meaning that the factory can produce 2695680 divided by 2.2, that is 1225309 at full capacity. That is 1.22 million approx, and of which we are doing only 1.05 million, that is we are doing only 86% of utilization. Okay, therefore capital invested in the factory is underutilized. Although an 80% plus utilization would be considered efficient for many manufacturing operations. although 80+% is obviously good, but then they are not doing 100% of it, and resources are available at 100%, so why not? So that is regarding waste. The second thing is regarding quality. What can be said about quality? What is quality? Rejections should be less. If rejections are less, that means the quality is number one. So what is there regarding rejections? The number of keyboards rejected by quality inspectors in the factory was 15,750 in the year. Of these 15,750, out of this 15,750 rejections, 9,450 were reworked, again at an average cost of 2, and the rest was scrapped. So 15,750 minus 9,450 were reworked, 6,300 was scrapped. The standard cost of the keyboard is 8, and what is the customer satisfaction here in terms of customer complaints? Customer complaints are 0.4% of keyboards. Okay, so now let's write about the quality factors. Quality can be measured through 4 cost types. And what are the cost types? Inspection and prevention, cost, which represent the cost of preventing faults in the production process and inspecting to avoid faulty goods leaving the factory. Okay. And internal and external failure cost, again, which are cost resulting from faulty goods being identified before and after delivery to customer. There are no data given. Or 20x5 on the cost of inspection and prevention. However, the effectiveness of inspection can be measured in that we've clearly said only 0.4% orders were written, while inspection stopped. The delivery of 1.5% faulty goods. So returns were only 0.4%, but the delivery was of 1.5% faulty goods. So if you see here, number of keyboards that were rejected by the factory was 15,750, and that was the amount of rejection that was there. So it was 1.5%. 0.4% of the orders were returned, while inspection stopped the delivery of 1.5% of faulty goods. So the quality inspectors in the factory were 15,750 in the year. Of these, 9,450 were reworked. That is 60% were reworked. Okay. So in this you can say, and last year the factory produced 1.05 million keyboards. So if you find out the ratio, we produced 1.05 and we returned 15,750. So 15,750 you have to convert into millions. We get 1.5%. Out of the total that was produced, 1.05 million, 15,750 was faulty. But look at this. This is in millions, this is not in millions. So first you convert this in millions or you take this in millions. So when you do faulty divided by total, you get the fault to be 1.5%. Okay, so the fault is 1.5%, but out of the faulty of 1.5%, only and only 0.4% were returned. So you write it down there. And how this faulty we got? 15,750. What is that? 15,750 divided by 1.05 million. 15,750, that is the faulty, divided by 5 million. Okay. There is a loss of $50,400 at standard cost from scrapping of faulty keyboards. Because the cost of scrapping is how much? 15,750 into, what is the cost of scrapping? .8. This is the actual cost of scrap. Although 60% of this, that is 60% of 15,750 were repaired, refurbished, whatever word they have used, of faulty boards identified were able to be repaired. So the effectiveness of prevention can be measured in that there is a roughly 1.9% failure rate in total, if you observe, which must reflect the good production practice at the factory. There are data on measures of cost of internal failure from reworking. Right, the reworking cost is there. How much is it? 2.2, no? Reworking average cost of 2. So 9450 into 2 will give you 18,900, which is 18,900, which is again 9450 into 2. Okay, but there are no data on the costs of external failures from 0.4% of customer returns which may incur further repair or warranty claim cost. This is regarding quality. Now waste is done, quality is done. Next is what? Delivery. Now what can be said for delivery? Delivery is an outsourced function, right? So Harry has outsourced the delivery part to Actual. Read, the deliveries made in total is 5127. Deliveries made within agreed time is 4717. Total time taken to delivery all the goods is 17423. So whatever is the delivery data, that is the data by Actual, and we have to trust the data because we are not undertaking the delivery services by ourselves, but we are outsourcing it to Actual. So delivery has been outsourced to Actual, and Harry is reliant to provide the data on the quality of Actual's own service. This represents a risk which Harry can control by monitoring customer feedback, identify if actual is underreporting, the late deliveries. Based on actuals data, how many are made on time? 4717 divided by 5127, that is 92% are done on time. 92% कैसे मिला आपको? 717 divided by 5127. This many are done on time. Of orders are delivered on time at an average time of, the total time that is taken is 17,423 divided by 5127. So for per order it took 3.4 days. Now how did you get it? 17,423 divided by 5127. Okay, that is delivery हो गया. And after delivery what we have? Last one, cycle time. So for cycle time, focus on the last point, which is this is your cycle, and working capital cycle is 37 days. So cycle time for working capital is being measured but this should be done for all significant processes inherit. The processes which have been identified so far are setting up production lines, running the production, on an order, and delivering the order. Measurement of production cycle times is likely to be particularly important in assessing the efficiency of such cost-conscious business. there are data on delivery time. So how much time we took? 3.4 days on an average. And on production time, production we took how much? 2.2 minutes per production line. These should appear in the pyramid of indicators if they are deemed sufficiently important. That is the first part of the answer. What is the B part? Second, there are a number of non-financial indicators. Now the indicators that we used were all financial indicators. Now you have to talk about the non-financial indicators. So second, there are a number of non-financial indicators used in the performance pyramid, and the CEO would like some advice on the reliability of these indicators compared to the financial ones, which are usually presented in the board reports. He would like this part of the work to focus on the methods of measuring such indicators, including the information sources and the methods of processing and checking, which is normally undertaken. He has told you to use the operational indicators from the first part of the work to illustrate your advice. You can use the operational indicators. What are the operational indicators? Like the time, cycle time and all of that. But you have to talk about non-financial indicators. So let's talk about the B part. In order to understand the issues surrounding measurement of non-financial indicators, it is necessary for us to consider the more commonly used financial ones. Financial indicators will be produced by Harry's Financial Systems. These systems will generate much of the cost information used, for example, in measuring the cost of quality. They are internally controlled and additionally monitored by the external auditors of the organization. Such systems are by definition working with easily quantified data, that is invoice values, for these reasons they are likely to be most reliable data available. However, for measurement headings such as cycle time, the data are often going to be non-financial. Cycle time requires measuring how long processes take. Again, for example, the length of time it takes for a production line to produce a keyboard. These data are within the control of Harry, and the data will be obtained by production records and interviewing the key personnel. However, they will not be subject to the checking and controls over financial data, and therefore may be more prone to error. Other non-financial data used may come from external sources. For example, at Harry, they are using delivery data of actual. This data must be treated carefully as there is an incentive for actual to underreport late deliveries, as there for such non-performance in their contract with Harry. There is also the threat of losing the contract, because if Actual doesn't perform well, Harry will replace them and outsource the work to somebody else. So there's always a threat of losing the contract. Harry will want to ensure that Actual's data is reliable by checking it against its own customer complaint records. Also, records. Also, the definition of non-financial data is more subjective. For example, what constitutes a late delivery though this should be consistent with the service level agreed in the contract. So this is the B part of it, which is clearly answered. So the A part was this and the B part was this. Please go through the A and B part. Till then I'll quickly check the comments on YouTube.
तो वो सारी की सारी इनकम को मुझे टोटल
I hope you guys understood the calculations that we performed. Now, before we begin the next question, I will take a break of 5 minutes and then we start. Now we have question 2, which is Cortina's Retail Clothing, CRC. So whenever we have a question, we have a practice of reading the requirements first. So requirement, evaluate whether CRC should move from its current budgeting system to ABB. So we don't know what their current budgeting is, but they are kind of confused that should they continue with the current budgeting or should they move to ABB. For that we need to give them a decision. So we need to somewhat give advantages and disadvantages of their system and advantages and disadvantages of ABB, that is activity based budgeting. And then we have to give them a conclusion that okay, this is the conclusion, and based on this conclusion you can decide that since the advantages of yours are more or ABB is more, you have to do that. So we have to, whenever we have to evaluate, remember yesterday I showed you evaluate, discuss, define, the difference between them. Evaluate means you have to give them a decision regarding if they should move from its current budgeting system to ABB. For that reason we have to give them advantages and disadvantages of their current budget also, and the advantages and disadvantages of the ABB also. And complete the analyst work in Appendix 1 as required by the board and explain the variance between the budgeting cost and the actual cost for each receipt into the goods inwards for July 20X5. So this is the Appendix 1 which you have to complete in the B part. So let's first do the A part, wherein we evaluate whether CRC should move from its current budgeting system to ABB, and then we do the B part when we complete this particular appendix. However, I would like to tell you one more important thing. In exam, you cannot copy paste things. So if you feel that this ये complete करना है तो इसको सीधा मैं ऐसे लेके copy paste करूँगी. I told you the constructive workspace is not exactly like your Word, but it is a replica of Word, and there are not so many functions. I showed you yesterday there are only this many functions. Even in Excel, there are not so many functions. There are only limitation of functions. So you cannot literally copy paste everything that you want. Okay. So if you feel that you want to complete this and you will see the copy it down and paste it there, no, that is not possible. Copy paste you cannot. Okay. And then the relevant information for that is given. So let's read the question. Cortina's Retail Clothing CRC. This is a March-June 2019 question. Company information. CRC started as a clothing retailer 20 years ago with one store. The business expanded steadily and had 10 stores after 18 years. 10 stores after 18 years means they've grown so much. So in 1.8 year, that is approximately 2 years, after every 2 years they opened one store. Okay. Since then, the rate of expansion has been increased rapidly with an average of 4 stores opening per year. CRC is planning to open its first large out-of-town store soon and is also considering the acquisition of a food retailing business. Both of this will be supplied with items using CRC's existing central warehouse. Introduction to RFID system. What is RFID? Radio Frequency Identification Device. At the beginning of the 20X5 accounting year, to cope with the rapid growth, CBC acquired a RFID, that is Radio Frequency Identification Device system, at its single central warehouse. This was to help manage inventory more effectively and speed up the process of receiving items from suppliers and dispatching them to store. Items are still moved manually by staff in the CRC warehouse, where there is a little automation compared to competitors. There has been some resistance from the staff to the RFID system, which they find difficult to use. CRC is currently trying to reduce the number of suppliers it has to help increase efficiency in the warehouse. Then budgeting system. The budget setting process has remained unchanged since CRC was formed. All managers prepare draft budgets using spreadsheets and submit them to the CRC board for approval. Managers use the previous year results as a starting point when drafting the budgets and increase the variable cost in line with any anticipated growth in volumes. For example, when preparing the budget for the year ending 30th June 2026, the manager of the central warehouse used the actual cost of running the warehouse from the previous year and increased them all by the same percentage. This was to reflect an anticipated increase in volumes in 20x6 over 20x5. Managers are appraised on the performance against the approved budgets. CRC has needed all its financial resources to fund its expansion, and so it has only old and basic IT systems which are not enterprise resource planning system, that is ERPS, unified databases or networked systems. It has been suggested to the CRC board that the current system of budgeting is no longer suitable and that the business should move to actively based budgeting ABB. The CEO asks you to evaluate the potential introduction of activity based budgeting at CRC. Yesterday we saw what is an activity based budgeting. Central warehouse activity in July 20x5. The board has never seen an activity based budget before and unsure how it could be used to explain variances between actual and budgeted performance in the central warehouse. As an example, they would like to see how an actively based budget for the year ending 30th June 20x6 could be used to explain variances from the actual results for the month of July 20x5. The two key activities which drive cost in the central warehouse are receipts of items into the good inward section and dispatches of items from the good outward section. A receipt into goods inward involving accepting a delivery of items from a supplier, tagging those items and putting them away in the warehouse. Receipts from supplier contain a variable number of individual items. Destination of items from goods outward are to CRC's own retail stores. Cost driver rates for these two activities will be used to send monthly cost budgets for the warehouse. The board asked an analyst to prepare an activity based budget for the central warehouse for the year ending 30th June 20x6. The analyst has collected relevant information on the cost for the year needed to prepare the activity based budget and has begun the work that is there in Appendix 1. The total annual cost relating to goods inward needed to be determined. This should be used to calculate the budgeted cost of each receipt into goods inward. In order to explain the variance between the budgeted cost and the actual cost of receipt of goods inward for the month of July 20x5, the analyst has already correctly included the cost of the warehouse manager's salary and the lease of the RFID system into the incomplete activity-based budget in Appendix 1. The board has asked you to complete the analyst's work. To enable you to complete your calculations, you are told that in July 20x5, there were 650 receipt of goods inward. These receipts contain 1 lakh items, which is the same as the budgeted number of items for the month. The actual total cost of activities driven by receipts into the goods inward for the month was $18,000. It is now 1 September 20x5. Evaluate whether CRC should move from its current budgeting system to ABB. For that, we have to give them advantages and disadvantages of their current budgeting and advantages and disadvantages of ABB. Now, currently, managers, if you see this line, managers use previous year's result as a starting point. This is an incremental budget, so you have to give basically advantages and disadvantages of incremental and advantages and disadvantages of ABB, and then we'll come to the second part. First, let's do that and give them a conclusion. So, advantages of the current budgeting. system. CRC managers use the previous year's result as a starting point when drafting their budgets and increase the variable cost according to any anticipated growth in volumes. So this is an example of incremental budgeting. Okay. An advantage of incremental budgeting. Yesterday we saw so many advantages. Is that it is quick and easy to prepare. The budgeting system at CRC has remained unchanged for a long time, so many years, and it is unlikely managers will have experience in any other method of budget setting. While CRC was growing steadily, though relatively slowly, or rather when CRC was growing steadily and relatively slowly, at approximately one new store approximately, as I told you, every 2 years, that is 1.8, so we rounded off to 2 years. That is 18 years divided by 10 stores. Okay. The use of incremental budgeting may have been appropriate. But as CRC is now entering new locations, such as out of town, shopping centers, and possibly food retailing, incremental budgeting is likely to be appropriate. Incremental budgets can also be flexed according to anticipated activity levels. The manager of the central warehouse has done this rather simplistically by increasing cost of running the warehouse to reflect the anticipated increase in volumes in 2026. So this becomes the advantage of current budgeting system. You also have to tell them disadvantages of current budgeting system. The use of incremental budgets can encourage slack. That means every year it is going on adding and adding and adding. So incremental budgeting is what basically लास्ट ईयर का वैल्यू लेने का और उसमें एडिशंस और सब्ट्रैक्शंस करेंगे हम लोग. So every time you're adding something, so it becomes a lot of cost. In addition to this, लास्ट ईयर अगर कोई वन ऑफ एक्सपेंस हुआ है तो उसको भी इस साल में कंसिडर करना पड़ेगा, पर इस साल में तो वो एक्सपेंस हो ही नहीं रहा, तो दैट इज़ वन मोर प्रॉब्लम. सो दिस इंक्लूड्स incorporating extra cost into the budget, right? Because this becomes an extra cost to make it more achievable. Of spending up to the budgeted amount to ensure that a larger budget is set next year. This may be particularly so at CRC, as managers are appraised based on achieving their budget. The manager of central warehouse appears to be building in a slack by increasing the budget for heating and lighting when the general rate of inflation is 0. This will make it more likely that the manager will receive a positive appraisal next year, as it will be easier to achieve the budget. What else can you say about the disadvantages of incremental budgeting? Incremental budgeting does not encourage CRC to look for new innovative ways of doing things. The level of automation in the warehouse is lower than in competitors. And CRC appears to have just increased the budget for more staff to manually handle items in response to increased volumes. The introduction of the RFID system is though an example of the use of technology to increase efficiency in the warehouse. Then last, incremental budgeting is only appropriate costs are already well controlled. And operations are efficient. Otherwise, poorly controlled costs and inefficiencies are just incorporated into the next period's budget. Staff resistance to the introduction, poorly controlled costs, staff resistance to the introduction of the RFID system, and there are difficulties in using it, suggest that this might not be the case. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of the current budgeting system. Now we have to give them the advantages and disadvantages of ABB. So advantages of activity based budgeting. It's ABB. So before we begin with the advantages of ABB, so this is a pretty independent question. ये question मतलब ये part के लिए question को देखना भी ज़रूरी नहीं है, because आपको उनको advantages और disadvantages देना है. Question में कोई advantages disadvantages नहीं दिया है, तो ये आपको खुद से ही लिखना है. Okay, so ये तो independent part ही हो गया. So before that, I'll just quickly check the comments, and till then you guys think of points to write in the advantages of activity based budgeting. Okay, so I'll quickly check the comments. So can we begin with the advantages of activity-based budgeting? What are the advantages? The principle of ABB. So I told you all yesterday that activity-based budgeting is based on ABC costing. Okay, so the principle of ABB is that its activities such as the goods inward and goods outward in the central warehouse which drive cost. By understanding what drives the cost, such as the number of receipts from suppliers and the number of dispatches to stores, CRC can take action to control the drivers of the costs and eliminate activities which are not value adding. ABB is particularly useful where overhead costs form a large part of total costs. ABB can help identify CSF, that is critical success factors which CRC must do well, such as being able to put items away in the warehouse quickly and accurately, and to retrieve them efficiently. This is more likely to be done right first time, as ABB focuses on the whole of an activity. ABB is useful as CRC is changing the nature of its operations. It is undergoing rapid expansion by opening 4 new stores a year. There is also likely to be a change in the nature of its business with the opening of its first out of town store and possible acquisition of a food retailing business. The incremental approach to budgeting may no longer be appropriate given the scale and nature of these changes. ABB may be more suitable as the business becomes more complex. So these are the advantages of activity-based budgeting. Now we also have disadvantages of ABB because we have to show them both the sides. We don't have to misguide them. So next is disadvantages of ABB. That is ABB. One of the main disadvantage of ABB is the time and resources which are needed to implement it. For example, by identifying activities and their cost drivers. In the short term, overheads may not be controllable, which will reduce the benefits of implementing ABP. CRC has used all its financial resources to fund its expansion and has only old and basic IT systems compared to its competitors, because that is what the question is saying us, that they have all old and basic IT systems compared to its competitors. Its current systems are not ERPs, that is enterprise resource planning systems, that is enterprise resource planning system. Unified databases or networked systems. Significant investment in CRC's IT systems will be needed to collect and process large volumes of data on cost drivers and activities which would be required to implement ABP. There may also be resistance to change from staff who may also require extensive training as they will be unfamiliar with the ABB approach. Now previously I said that this is an independent question, means that doesn't mean that I will not relate it to my question. Like I related it that there might not be extensive training to the staff as they will be unfamiliar with the approach and all. This is called relating to the question. So although this is an independent part, but the independent also part should be, you should be able to relate it to your question. Okay. And then you don't have to leave the examiner confused, because ultimately you have to give a conclusion to the examiner. So what will be your conclusion? So there will be a conclusion that you will give. CRC should adopt ABB mainly as a response to the significant changes in the business and its increasing complexity, because the business is now changing, it's kind of revamping itself. So for that, ABB is required. The out of town stores and the food retailing business will both be supplied from CRC's existing central warehouse the nature of these businesses may be different from the existing businesses. For example, out of town stores may require dispatches each containing a larger number of items from the good outward section. Food retailers may require smaller, more frequent dispatches to prevent spoilage, because if a lot is sent to them but they are not able to sell that, then it will be a lot of wastage and spoilage. The current approach of incremental budgeting in the central warehouse at least is unlikely to be appropriate. The benefits of implementing ABB do, however, need to be compared to the financial cost and disruption of doing so. So this is the conclusion that you have drawn from the vast difference that you gave. So first you gave an advantage of the current budgeting system, then you gave a disadvantage of the current budgeting system, then you gave advantage of ABB, then you gave a disadvantage of ABB, and finally then at the end you gave your conclusion. Okay, so that is how it's supposed to be. If you want to go through, please go through and then we proceed. Before we proceed, I would like to take a break of 5 minutes. Now concentrate on the B part of the requirement, for which you have to go through Appendix 1 and the analysis notes. So complete the analyst's work in Appendix 1. So you have to complete the work. He has left the work incomplete as required by the board and explain the variance between the budgeting cost and the actual cost for each receipt into goods in Word for July 20x5. So the analyst's incomplete activity-based budget for the central warehouse for the year ended 30th June 20x6 is this, wherein the warehouse manager's salary is 55. It is allocated directly to others. Lease of RFID system is 75. It is allocated between inward and outward in a ratio. RFID tagging, nothing is given. Warehouse staff salary, nothing is given. Heating and lighting, nothing is given. This is probably the part that they're talking about, that it is left incomplete. Subtotal cost of activity is driven by the receipt of goods in Word. Analyst's notes. Relevant information on the cost in the central warehouse for the year ending 30th June 20x6. First one, the cost of warehouse manager's salary relates to all sections of the warehouse and cannot be apportioned directly to goods in Word or goods outward. So it cannot be split. That is why it is gone to total. Others, okay. The cost of RFID system is invoiced by a lease company. 60% of this cost is allocated to goods inward and the remainder to goods outward. So 60 is to goods inward and remainder 40% is to goods outward. Okay, so that is also done. Third, the cost of RFID tagging, which is this. The cost of RFID tagging is the wage cost for specially trained staff known as taggers. Their only job is to attach RFID tags to items when they are received before the items are put away in the warehouse. All the items received are RFID tagged and the cost of tagging are allocated entirely to the cost of goods inward. So whatever is the cost of tagging that comes in total, it will fully be allocated to goods inward. Okay. Each trigger can attach 35,000 tags per month and is paid an actual salary of 24,000. The cost of each individual RFID tag is negligible. So each tagger is doing 35,000 tags and the actual salary is 24. But how many taggers are there? So that data is not given in this particular point. So when you read further, you come to know that the annual number of receipts into goods in Word is 9,000, containing a total of 12 lakh items. So there are 12 lakh items total per year. So 12 lakh divided by 12 will be 1,000 per month. And 1,000 per month divided by 35 tags will give you the annual number of receipt into the goods in Words is 9,000, containing a total of 12 lakh. So 12 lakh items divided by 12 will give you 1 lakh annual number of receipts per annum. So 1 lakh annual number of receipts. So now just remember that much. There are 12 full-time warehouse staff throughout the year to 30th June who were each paid an annual salary of 22,500. 2 more will be recruited. So 12 were there full-time plus 2, that is 14, and each is paid a salary of 22,500. So that becomes 3,15,000. 50% goes in inwards and 50% goes outwards. So 3,15,000 ka half goes to inward, that is 157,500, and half goes to outward. Now we have to concentrate on this. The cost of heating and lighting relates to all sections of the warehouse and cannot be apportioned directly to goods inward or goods outward. The actual heating and lighting cost for the year was 10,000, and the warehouse manager has proposed a budget of 10,500 for the coming year, but the actual was 10,000, so we have to select the 10,000. The general cost of inflation is 0, and the cost of heating and lighting relates to all sections, so it will go to others. So we are just left with the RFID tagging. For that we are going to do a working note. This part of the question has to be done on Excel. Okay. Now if you are thinking एग्जाम में आप ऐसे करोगे कि इसको कंप्लीट करना है, बराबर, तो विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी टाइम आप इसको कॉपी पेस्ट करोगे वहाँ पे इन एक्सेल, मतलब इन योर एग्जामिनेशन इन द स्प्रेडशीट. इट्स नॉट कॉल्ड एक्सेल, इट्स कॉल्ड स्प्रेडशीट इन द एग्जाम. एंड फिर आप सॉल्व करोगे. तो मैं आपको एक बात बताना चाहती हूँ अपनी जानकारी के लिए कि ये कॉपी पेस्ट नहीं होता, आपको वो कॉपी करना पड़ेगा मैन्युअली. टोटल goods inward, inwards, outwards, others. And all of these are in dollars. And this also, as it is, you have to copy warehouse manager's salary, lease of RFID system, lease of RFID system, RFID tagging, warehouse staff salary, last one is, you have to complete this, okay, heating and lighting. And the total for warehouse manager's salary is how much? Whatever is given you write, 55, 55, 75, 45, 30. 55, this is dash, this is dash, and this is dash. We have to complete this. So for that, RFID tagging first we have to do. So for that we name it as working note 1. So let's do working note 1 below. Leave a little space and then do. So what will you do for RFID tagging? What is given in terms of RFID tagging? 35,000 tags per month is paid and annual salary is 24. First of all, the first part you will answer is first thing that you will answer is the expected volume of items received in the month. So that is how much I told you, 12 lakh divided by 12, that is 1 lakh. Each number of staff can tag 35,000 items per month. So they can do how much? 100 divided by 30. That is 3.33. Say approximately you're getting 3.33, so take it as 3. Each number of staff can tag 35,000 items per month. So there are 35,000 items per month, and monthly thing is 1 lakh. So you're getting 2.86, and staff are required is 1 lakh divided by 30. Say 3 staff are there. So the annual wages, because you need 3 staff, right? One second, I think I made a mistake here. So 1 lakh is the expected volume per month divided by 35 items are done by each staff. So each staff will do 35 items, but in a year I have to complete 1 lakh. So 1 lakh per month, 1 lakh per month, and per month one staff is doing 35,000. So when I do 1 lakh divided by 35,000, I am getting 2.86. 2.86, which is approx 3. That is, I will need 3 staff members per month, because per month I have to do 1 lakh units and one staff is doing 35. You can also do it by cross multiplication. This is, I am doing 1 lakh units. So for 1 lakh, how much staff I'll take? Units, staff. For 35,000 units, I'll take how much? That will be no, I cannot do it by cross multiplication because I don't have the data of total staff. So I have to do it like this only. The expected volume is 1 lakh. That is 12 lakh for the entire year divided by 12 months. I'll write it here, 12 lakh divided by 12 months, that is 1 lakh per month. Then each number of staff can do, one staff can do 35. So one staff can do 35. So to do 1 lakh, how much staff will be needed? That's what I'm saying, how cross multiplication cannot happen. Units, staff and units. See, cross multiplication. Okay, this is a cross multiplication. So we want the number of staff members, which will assume X, to do 1 lakh units. In our data we know that to do 35,000 units, one staff is required. So to do 1 lakh units, how much staff is required? The staff required is 2.86 approx 3. Did you understand the cross multiplication? To do 35,000 units, one staff is required. So to do 1 lakh units per month, company will require how much staff? So just cross multiply and get the answer. It is approx 2.86, that is 3. So we need 3 staff per month, and the salary per month is $24. So that means the RFID tagging salary will be how much? 24 into 3. That is 70. So go and write down there 70. Now what they have given regarding this RFID tagging. The RFID tagging is the wage cost for specially trained staff known as taggers. Their job is to attach RFID tags to items when they are received before the items are put away in the warehouse. All the items received are RFID tagged, and the cost of tagging are allocated entirely to the cost of goods inward. So entirely to the cost of goods inward. So for outward dash, for others dash. Next we have is warehouse staff salary, then this will be working note 2. Okay. Now what is the total number of staff previously? Working note 2. Total staff is how much? 12 plus 2, because previously it was 12, then 2 got added, that is 14. And what is the salary per staff? Is $22,500. So total is how much? $3,15,000. So go and write it down. And how to allocate it? %50 in goods inward and 50% in goods outward. the then next is heating and lighting, working note 3. Heating and lighting. What is given in terms of heating and lighting? The cost of heating and lighting relates to all sections of the warehouse and cannot be apportioned directly to goods inwards or outward. It is 10,000. Actual is 10,000, and as the inflation is 0, the cost included in the budget should be $10,000. So, and it cannot be allocated, so it will directly go to others. Now we have to find the total of each section. Now you got the total of this. You just have to drag and drag. So you got the totals of all. So what we had to find out: annual number of receipts, in goods inward. How much is good inward? 274,500. So it is 274,500 divided by 9,000. That is 30.5. If you want to know how this 30.5 came, just click on that. E23 divided by 9,000. Okay, so that is your thing, and these are your working notes. Please go through it. Till then, I'll quickly check the comments. Please copy this thing down. This is very important. Especially how you got it by cross multiplication. Staff and units. 35,000 units is done by one staff. So for 1 lakh units, how much staff will require? 2.86, which is approx 3, and 3 staff into 24,000 per month will give you 72,000. So please copy this thing down, it's very important. So relevant sorry complete the analyst work in appendix 1 as required by the board and explain the variance between budgeted cost and actual cost for each receipt into goods inwards for July 20x5. You should not only just solve it but also explain the difference in the variances. Okay. So let's do it. The B part. This is the B part, so you have to mention that it is the B part. The total expected costs for receipts into goods inward for July 20x5 was $19,825. That is $30.50 budgeted cost per receipt into 650 receipts. But we just found out the actual receipts. Actual receipts is how much? This is the budgeted. Actual is given in the question. Sorry. The actual cost was $18,000, giving a favorable. So 19,825 was the expected, and the actual cost was less. Whenever the cost is less, it is a favorable one for us. Whenever the cost is more, it is unfavorable. Whenever the profit is more, it is favorable. Whenever the profit is less, it is unfavorable, like that. So the cost is less, so giving us a favorable variance of the difference between the two. So that will be $1825. It cannot be identified. On the basis of the information available, the cause of the $1825 variance as the breakdown of the $18,000 actual cost would be required. Okay. Now next, 1 lakh items were processed. How we found out that? 12 lakh divided by 12 months, so 1 lakh per month were processed in July 20x5, which is the same as budgeted amount. However, the number of receipts budgeted was 9,000 divided by 12, which is 750. Whereas the actual number of receipts was only 650, equivalent to 18,000 divided by 650, that is $27.69 per receipt. This is a favorable variance of $2.81 per receipt. It appears that the favorable variance may be due to the receipt of larger quantities of items from suppliers in each delivery. If some of the goods and goods cost are variable with the number of items this would result in cost saving. This could be because of the reduction in the number of suppliers with fewer suppliers individually supplying more items. So this is the explanation of the same. Please go through the same and then we begin with the next question. Beginning the next question. As Jolter. This is the question. And this is the appendix. So let's do the third question. First, read the requirement. It is now 1 September 20x5. Respond to the board of SGOLTE's request for work on the following areas: the effect of ethical issues on the manufacturing decision, how EMA will help SGOLTE, and again professional marks will be there, 5 marks. SGOLTE is a large company listed on the Jayland Stock Exchange. Its main objective is to maximize the long-term wealth of its shareholders. The largest shareholder is a pension fund which only invests in the companies which behave ethically towards their stakeholders and the environment. All companies listed in J-Land must produce an annual Corporate Sustainability Report (CSR). As Geoltex manufactures a diverse range of chemicals ranging from those for use in industrial process to household detergents and cleaning products. As Geoltex is a well-known and trusted brand in J-Land, many of its household products command premium prices because they use ingredients and manufacturing processes which cause less harm to the environment than those of competitors. K-Land manufacturing plant, as a part of wider strategy, as Geoltex plans to produce a new product, Chemical K, which will require the building of a new manufacturing plant. The company has always manufactured in J-Land, but in order to increase business performance, the board is considering whether to build a new plant overseas at a site identified in K-Land. Due to high unemployment in K-Land, labor costs are low there. Environmental regulations are also less strict than in J-Land. K-Land is a hot, dry country where there is often insufficient water available to meet the needs of the population and their livestock. As Geoltex's largest shareholder, the pension fund is aware that the company lacks experience in operating outside J-Land. Because of this, the shareholder is concerned that the board may pay insufficient attention to the impact of ethical issues on both strategy formulation and business performance when taking the decision when to manufacture in K-Land. The board has asked for your advice on ethical issues that may affect the decision to manufacture in K-Land. Exhibit 3: Environmental Impact of Chemical K. The manufacture of Chemical K would consume large volumes of water taken from a nearby river. To comply with limited environmental regulations in K-Land, some of this water would be used to dilute a toxic waste product. Waste product A, which arises from the manufacturing process. The diluted waste product A would then be discharged back into the nearby river. The discharge of waste product A into the river is not permitted in Geoltex's home country of J-Land because there is some specific scientific evidence that contact with waste product A may cause serious long-term health problems to people, which may not become apparent for many years. Production of Chemical K would cease after 10 years and the plant must be decommissioned. The site would remain contaminated with harmful chemicals for many years after decommissioning unless a separate cleaning operation is undertaken. Environmental Management Accounting. Yesterday we did EMA. It has been suggested that as Geoltex uses environmental management accounting to improve business performance, EMA is the identification, collection and analysis of information related to the physical and financial impact of an organization's activities on the environment. The board wants your advice on how EMA will help as Geoltex in the following 4 areas, that is calculating costs, investment appraisal, setting performance measures, and targets and product pricing. In relation to investment appraisal, the board calculated the net present value of the proposal to manufacture Chemical K in K-Land is $240 million compared to $200 million if the manufacturing was done in J-Land. It has since been identified that the cost of decommissioning the plant and cleaning the site were not included in these calculations. So the board has now begun the work of estimating the present value of the cost to decommission and clean the 2 possible sites. So again, we read the requirement. This is Appendix 1. Decommissioning the plant in J-Land and K-Land, the cost, cleaning the site in J-Land and K-Land, and total. The board has estimated that because of logistical difficulties due to KLAN being 8,000 kilometers from JLAN, decommissioning cost, which do not include the cost of cleaning the site, would be 50% higher than in JLAN. The board has not yet estimated the cost of cleaning the site in KLAN, though because of the same logistical difficulties which apply to decommissioning cost of cleaning the site in KLAN will also be higher than in JLAN. So that finishes your question. We will solve this question tomorrow. No, on Monday, because the next live session is going to be on Monday. I hope this 2 questions of section B that we solved were really useful to you guys, and I hope this is just like a cherry on your final preparation of your cake which you're going to serve to the examiner on your examination day. Thank you so much for attending the lecture and happy studying over the weekend. Thank you so much.